All advice given is for general information purposes. All legal cases are different, and you should seek the advice of your own attorney before acting or making decisions. No attorney-client privilege applies to communications on this show, and no attorney-client relationship is created by calling or writing in. Attorney Rominger practices only in Pennsylvania and maintains his primary office in Carlisle, Pennsylvania.
All right, we're back. 540-0580 is the talk line number. You want to jump on here and chitty-chat it up with me. 540-0580. Whatever you guys want to talk about. Got a legal question, legal concern, we'll get you on here. I see we got some callers already, so get on here, baby. 540-0580. By the way, Supreme Court is about to take up a bunch of controversial things. They convened a new term on, I think it's Monday. Was it this past Monday? No, it convenes this coming Monday. Boy, what do they got going on? They're going to have one on constitutionality of aggregate donation caps, which is basically going to try to undo some more federal law limits on donations. There's 2 abortion cases I'm aware of. I'm trying to think what else is up there. I think one of those is out of Arizona. Anyhow, there'll be some interesting stuff, so keep your eye on it because, the Supreme Court only determines the interesting stuff. There's also a couple of affirmative action cases, I think, percolating through as well. So we'll see what happens. 540-0580 if you want to comment on what the courts are up to, if you want to comment on anything. And of course, for those who don't know, I have my son, Anson. He wanted to come and be on the radio with me. So you want to talk to anybody on the radio, Anson? Yeah. What do you want to go talk to your microphone? You know how to do it.
I'm playing with tape.
You're playing with tape? So if RJ comes in the studio and everything's covered in tape, who should he blame? Who should he blame for covering everything in tape? You? Uh-huh. Oh. Me, not me. Anyhow. 540-0580, we'll answer your questions. And, we answer questions in all areas of the law. So if you have a personal injury, you have a car accident, you have a custody issue, child support issue, a will or estate style question. And if we don't know the answer, we'll tell you that, and we'll try to get you in contact with someone that will. And, of course, throughout the week, if you need a real lawyer to get in touch with and just talk to you about your legal problems, you can call our office. You go to romingerlaw.com for more information, or the number to jot down is 717-241-6070, 717-241-6070. And, again, we'll take your calls throughout the week at our law office. But the talk line number for today is 540-0580, and we'll get you on the air here. Talk a little bit, and I even had a caller a little earlier called and wants me to call them back because they want to talk about something private that they didn't want to talk to on the air, and that's fine. I'm happy to do that. And generally I would do that for my office through the week. Let's see, I think I have Dwayne coming up here. Let's see, is he on hold yet? Dwayne's not on hold yet. We got Dwayne on hold? Dwayne's a talker, I can tell. Dwayne, you're on the air.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, my friend. What are you up to?
Nothing much. I just want to know why you guys, as in lawyers in general, put money above people's civil rights and doing the right thing.
Well, we don't put money above anything.
Well, we
just put everything else under money. But my question, and let me just say, that's one of those questions when asked, it's sort of a baiting question. What do you really mean by it?
Well, I had a situation where I was attacked and beat up in my own from my own yard. People had to come to me to create the situation. Cops arrest me. Yeah, I was ultimately found not guilty. But now to try to get a civil suit or a civil rights violation against the police and
has it been less
them
than,
guys, all I'm getting is, that's a tough one, blah, blah, blah.
Has it been less than 2 years?
What's that?
Has it been less than 2 years since the assault?
Well, it was 2011, November.
So you're coming up on the statute of limitations. Have you talked to Vinny in my office yet? He does those kinds of lawsuits.
Oh, I did talk to him, and he's like, I don't know. It's like everything's invasive. Hey,
I think what he's probably trying to tell you is that there's just not enough financial value in it to make a lawyer's time worthwhile, which would prompt your original question.
You put money in before doing the right thing.
Well, let me ask you this way. Do you work for a living?
I used to, but now I can't seem to find a job, and I feel that the way these politicians set everything up to be against we the people, where it takes 6 months to get something back from the state police, and you have to get stuff expunged. Well, as soon as you're found not guilty of something, there should be no arrest or record of anybody. It should only be if you're guilty or not guilty.
Well,
then there's a record of it.
Dwayne, I'm gonna agree with you on one thing here. Isn't it interesting how within about 15 minutes of your arrest, you're in the system, so to speak, and everybody can see your arrest. But when you're acquitted, it takes them 6 to 8 months to figure out how to get you back out of the system. All right, my friend, I understand entirely. 540-0580. Alan, you're on the air.
No, thank you. Okay, about a year or a little over a year ago, I invested in this company. This guy does a certain thing. I'm not going to say what it is exactly, but I invested like $5,000, and then I decided, because my wife got like 2 brain tumors,
right?
And it would have took me away from help take care of her on the weekends and all. You know what I mean? So I decided I didn't want to do this thing. I went ahead and got a bank account to this certain bank, and I got one of those things you put on the phone. It was a thing where you go to people's house and you do this spraying. You spray this stuff. All right, so I invested this $5,000 with this fella, and I decided, I didn't want to do it anymore. So he goes, okay, it's going to take me a little while to get the money back to you. You know what I mean? I said, all right, I'll wait. You know what I mean? That's been over a year, and it keeps putting me off. You know what I mean?
What was the agreement? What was the agreement on the investment originally?
The agreement was that he was going to set this thing up where, it was the way he talked. It was very lucrative, and the agreement was just, you invest $5,000, and I'm a little confused with the thing is because
yeah, well, that's my question. I mean, your agreement was, when is it? Sometimes somebody will give you a thing. Give me $5,000 and I'll give you back money in 3 years with X percent interest.
No, I had to go out and do this spraying stuff too, also.
Okay, so you're going to be a partner in the business.
Yeah. But like initially, it's like $20,000, but I was like one of a couple guys that invested, part of, like 4 other guys invested $5,000. But I decided I didn't want to do it because my wife was ill. You know what I mean?
Right. So you want to wind down the partnership at this point, and the answer is you might put $5,000 into a partnership, and you guys should have had a written agreement that described how everything got wound down, and you don't. So your legal remedies are to sue him to wind down the partnership, and or sue him for this loan. But you don't have any great remedies. Your best remedy is to put him on a program of, all right, I understand it's tough because you were expecting me to do work, so why don't you give me $500? Why don't you give me $500 a month, or why don't you give me, something along those lines? Yeah, well, I already did try to do that. I said, look, in fact, here's what I did with the guy. I said, look, I'll have this other fellow that we were affiliated with. I'll let him use the $5,000 and have the other fellow pay me back. And the guy just kept putting it off. You know what I mean? Yeah, your remedy is to go to court. Your problem is ultimately if you squeeze him too hard, there might not be any money to get. Oh, this guy's got a lot of money. Well, then why can't he pay you the $5,000? Because I think he's trying to rip me off now. Oh, well, then sue him. Oh, that's right. Yeah. How do I go about doing that? I want to get your firm to do that. I want to do that right away. Just call us. I ain't got time for this crap. Call us 241-6070. 241-6070. 241-6070. Yes, and I'll put my son Anson on it. The other thing I have is the canceled check that I gave him. That helps. Yeah. Okay. I have the $5,000. I ran it through my business. I asked my accountant, and they said, okay, you can run it through your business. And I have a corporation, so, hopefully all that stuff helps. 241-6070. Okay. Thanks a lot, my friend. Man, thank you. Yes. Sign something before you give that money over. Dale, you're on WHP 580. What's going on?
Hi, Carl. My son got married a couple of years ago, and his wife had a child from a previous relationship. And the bio dad is not listed on the birth certificate at all, and there's been no contact since his birth. Right. And my son would like to adopt him, and we need to know what we need to do to take care of that. Yeah, we would do a step. Well, let me put it this way. Your son wants to adopt him, so this is he would be taking the place of the father,
and he's married to her with the mother, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so we call that a step-parent adoption, not very difficult. We would want to make reasonable efforts to try to serve the putative biological father.
Okay.
And if he or she signs off on it, it's done. If they're not willing to sign off on it, they'll probably be terminated, and it wouldn't be a problem. But it is important to keep them involved so that they don't just show up one day and say, by the way, you guys somehow finagled an adoption without ever noticing me of it.
Right.
Okay? But
All right,
pretty
so
simple
much.
procedure, and Lee Mandarino in my office does those.
Okay, we'll give her a call there. Give her a call then. Thank
All
you
right.
so much.
Thank you. 540-0580. Jason, you're on the air. Oh, I got to go to break, Jason. Hold on. I go to break, and we'll talk when we get back. Hold on.
Yep.
We're back. 540-0580. That's right, Anson. You looked up and saw the light when I said that, didn't you? He's getting his studio figured out. He knows the red on air means. But he's eating Oreos, so he's a little preoccupied to talk to you guys right now. I did get a couple things here on Facebook for immediate release. Maggie says, PUC emergency number. So for the dear lady who I just sent to get dry ice and who's probably hobbling down the street right now to go get the dry ice nowhere near a radio, the Pennsylvania Utilities Commission has an emergency number. Since you probably still use a phone book, look in those blue pages in the phone book and you'll find it. Give it a call. And they have an emergency turn-on number, which would be staffed this time of day. And she also wanted to remind the other caller that when you talk to the medical center that you owe money to, they all have financial assistance offices who may be able to help you find some money to pay your bills, either standalone or as part of a negotiation. So there you go. Jason, you're on WHP 580. What's going on? Hey, Jason.
Hi, Paul.
Yep.
Hi, how's it going? Yeah, my dad has some neighbors, and they have some trees along the property line. Over the past 20 years or so, branches have fallen down on our wires, ripped the electric service off the house a couple times. The cable had to be removed a few times. Then there's a pignut hickory that just constantly drops nuts onto the roof, gets in the way of the mowing and all that. So my dad called a tree. He was willing to pay, the $3,500 or whatever this guy wanted to charge to get rid of these branches that were hanging over his yard. And, of course, the neighbor came out. Legally, you can't do that, pointing fingers in his face. I've tried to research it on the Internet, and the area seems kind of gray on what you can do and what you can't do. What I'm seeing is that he can't force them to let him cut the tree branches or trim them, but he can sue them for any damage. Is that the case? Or,
well, you're not. This is kind of interesting. A neighboring landowner is not responsible for damage caused by a naturally occurring condition on their property. Okay.
Okay.
You can, on the other hand, sue for nuisance and say that the tree branches are a nuisance and this is why and they should be removed. But it is my position, and I believe it to be correct legal position, that you can trim those branches off, but only to the point where they cross the property line. Anything behind that would be a trespass on the other guy's land.
Right, yeah, that would be all he really needed to do, just get what's hanging over the property line.
Yeah, just at the edge of the property line. And, of course, there's a little math involved there in terms of making sure you get the exact line.
Yeah, it's been surveyed, so we know, and it has markers, so we know the exact property line.
And so what I would do is just cut them. Now here's the other thing: why do people make sawed-off shotguns 18 1/4 inches long instead of 18? And why do a lot of guides want your bass to be 15 1/4 inches instead of 15?
I get you. Just stay over, an inch or so over the property line.
Exactly.
A little bit. Yeah, so there's no argument, no gray area. I got you.
All right.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Chop, chop. Lewis, you're on the air.
Hi, thanks. A follow-up to the father there with his son
yes.
and the natural dad. When a lot of times in the back of the classifieds, attorneys and government agencies typically give notice in there to certain individuals, but who reads them and how can you monitor that?
The answer is those are legal notices, and it's a fiction, okay, that people would actually see it. But a lot of times it's a requirement, so it's noticed by publication. Now, here's the thing. As much as you would think it's legal fiction, you'd be surprised how many times somebody will call the law office and say, I found out from my friend who saw in the newspaper that my wife is trying to divorce me. Or my cousin called me from Carlisle, and I live in Georgia now, and he's trying to get a hold of me because he saw something in the Sentinel involving me. So it does work.
Is there an easy way to monitor that on the net?
Is there an easy way? No, there really isn't, except maybe to keep searching for your own name, right?
All right.
Go to.
All right.
All right?
Yes, sir.
All right, my friend. Good luck. Yeah, legal publication, that's sort of a fictional way of servicing people or serving people with things to see that they get them. And a lot of times you go to the judge and say, I tried to make service. I looked for this guy. The last lead we have is that he moved to Calgary. And then the judge says, well, go ahead and put a newspaper ad in the Calgary newspaper up there in Canada, get me proof of publication, and I will deem the divorce served, or the adoption or the termination or whatever. But the judge a lot of times will say, that doesn't seem like enough effort yet. Have you hired anybody up there to look for the guy? Yeah, it turns out he's a homeless and transient. Nobody knows where he went. They just know he was last seen in a shelter there. Okay. And then, of course, you say to the client, why'd you marry a homeless guy? But a lot of times it doesn't start that way, see. Pam, you're on the WHP 580. What's going on? Pam.
Oh, hi. Hey, I was power of attorney for a friend of mine who passed away.
Yes.
And in her will, the person that she named as the executrix said thanks but no thanks. The lawyer who made the will said thanks but no thanks. She had more debt than what she had property. Well, she had no property.
Right.
What happens to that? She had a will.
Right. Well, you don't have to do anything with it. If there's more debt than there is property, then the general advice the lawyers say is don't do anything with it. Just let it lay.
Well, then,
if some creditor wants some money, they can open it. Does that make sense?
They can probate it if
as a creditor.
Yeah.
But let the creditor do it. Why would anybody else want to get involved?
But yeah, I just didn't know because I still have like some of her paper stuff.
Right.
You know, her from the nursing home and stuff like that. How long do I need to hang on to that stuff?
Oh, I just put it in a drawer for a couple of years and forget about it, and then if somebody
well, it's already been a couple of years.
Yeah. Then I wouldn't even worry about it.
Oh, okay, because I'm thinking, oh my word, because the other last September, 2 Septembers ago, we had all that rain and stuff. It got all wet, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what if someone wants that?
Right.
So, okay.
Now, I would tell you you're fine.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, then, when I'm cleaning out my basement, it's getting a heap ho.
Yep, that's what I would do.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Yeah, we talk about this quite a bit. When somebody has an estate and the estate is insolvent, there's just no sense opening it unless somehow one of the debts may be to you or somebody. You better let the creditors do the work. It just doesn't seem like a good use of your time. But then again, for some people, they just want to have everything done or set everything right or whatever their theory might be. I don't know. I don't always understand it entirely. But people do sometimes want to open insolvent estates and work on them. Want to remind you this hour to call RJ Gold Auctions, and I recommend you call RJ Gold Auctions. He can buy outright or sell items at auction. RJ Gold can be reached at 645-0061. Again, RJ Gold, 645-0061. If you're interested in what auctions he has coming up or what kinds of items he has, you give him a call, 645-0061. He purchases outright items such as medals, pins, patches, tokens, awards, and badges, and most historical collectibles. He can pay you right away. So if you're looking for some cash and you have a little old collection you want to get rid of, you call RJ Gold, 645-0061. He's booking on-site auctions for November and December. So if you need to schedule an auction here in November or December, give him a call, 645-0061. And it's licensed auctioneer AU005798. Harrisburg Beer and Cigars, of course, as you know, is one of my favorite places, as is Carlisle Beer and Cigar, I guess. And then, depending on which side of the river I'm on, I stop at the appropriate one. And the Harrisburg one, of course, is over here on Union Deposit Road. And a lot of the fall beers are out now. So if you want to try some of the good fall beer, I'd recommend you get over there. They got the Sam Adams sampler pack. They just gave me one of those to try, which is kind of a hop, like a autumn hop selection. Very good. And I highly recommend it. So anyhow, stop over there and make sure you tell them Carl sent you. Especially check out that humidor. I want some feedback. And, of course, I see some events being posted on their Facebook page. So don't forget to join them on Facebook as well. And that reminds me, we have, I would say this week alone, I probably answered 20 legal questions on Facebook. So if you feel like you need to get a hold of me, and the best way to get a hold of me sometimes is just to post on Facebook, not on my page necessarily, but to just message me through it with a legal question, unless you want the whole world to know. Works really well, and I appreciate it. Also gives me a little time to get back to you. So maybe it's 8 p.m. at night, my son's finally calming down, and I'll sit down and send you some answers. Maybe it's midnight, and I catch the question right before bed, and I send you an answer. Or a lot of times it's just the middle of the day, and I just check into Facebook, and I can send you an answer, point you in the right direction. So feel free to use that Facebook resource. It really is a great way to stay connected. Some of you may remember when we first started the show, we had weekendappointment.com, had a discussion board on it. We used that. But Facebook's really grown into a format where they're just so powerful, it didn't make sense to try to maintain our own little database and stay in touch board when we can all do it through Facebook. So if you're wondering what all that noise in the background is, in case you can hear it, that is my son, Anson, who's joined me today live on the air. And his attention span has been stretched to its limit, I believe. So he's now playing his Nabi, N-A-B-I. And if you have a kid and they want to use your iPad all the time, what I did was I went and found this Nabi, and for about $120 instead of whatever an iPad runs these days, with big red bumpers on it so that they can throw it against the wall and drop it on the floor and all the things that they're going to do inevitably. It's a great investment. It's basically just a little Android pad. However, my son has discovered that we are able to download more games, and so I'm now regularly quizzed about perhaps maybe downloading, you fill in the blank. And where he learns about this stuff, I have no idea. All right, 540-0580. See you after the break. All right, I'm back. 540-0580. Carl Rominger here. Ready to answer your legal questions. So get your phone in your hand. That's right. Pick your phone up and dial 540-0580. Yes, you. Yeah, you. You, and you, too. Get on the air, and we'll answer your legal questions. Whatever you want to talk about. As you know, we started off the show with a little bit about what's going on with the federal government. Of course, they're in a little shutdown mode right now. The House just passed that crazy. You'll get your furlough money, which I think bespeaks that they're going ready to dig in here. That way they don't scare the living bejesus out of the 800,000 federal workers, because that would be 800,000 really upset people, like scratching their heads going, am I getting paid or am I truly furloughed? And so this will ease some of the political pain and allow the shutdown to last a little longer, I suspect, which would be the only reason the Senate might want to reject it, except that none of the senators want to go on record. Notice none of the House of Rep members want to go on record saying they didn't want to see federal workers get paid for their furlough. There's also a really oversimplified thing I've heard on the radio a few times where people go, oh, well, we just won't pay them and the government will save all this money. Well, what do you think federal workers do with their money? They buy yachts. They bury it in the backyard. I don't know. Maybe they pay their mortgage and they go to the local restaurants where they live, and they shop at the grocery stores in their communities, and they buy gas in their community, and they buy ciggies in their community, and they push all that money back through the economy. So if you essentially take 800,000 people and make them instantly unemployed overnight, right, and that goes on for a while, even just a few weeks, it's not just the federal employees who feel the pinch. It's all the people who they buy their goods and services off of. One of the things that people forget is sometimes, remember, businesses make money on the, quote, bottom line. Well, the bottom line is just a small percentage of the overall money that goes through a business. So a lot of businesses, if they lost 15 or 20% of their sales instantly, wouldn't have time to adjust things, would really see that come right off the bottom line for the most part, because the difference between fixed costs and variable costs might change things a little bit. But the truth of the matter is when it's instant like that, the pinch is particularly salty. So rooting against the government employees getting paid, well, kind of a lot of fun to do, when you're kind of a right-wing wing job, tinfoil wearing nut bag, and maybe just for giggles, also isn't really a great thing to root for at the end of the day, because it probably will ultimately creep in and affect the entire economy. The more interesting one's this debt ceiling. They keep wanting to raise the debt ceiling. People keep saying we need more spending cuts and not raise the debt ceiling. We really do need a large financial overhaul, but we are a representative democracy, and nobody wants to give up anything. So it really does take a crisis to get anything done here in America when it comes to stopping spending. So keep your fingers crossed, and we'll hope that the economy does not get tanked out of what happens here next. But at the same time, let's hope the Republicans don't back down and agree to just more spending as usual, as it appears they've been prone to do over the last decade, which is, of course, why we had to create the Tea Parties and get the Tea Party folks out and about. But what else can we do except wait and hope that in the future our government straightens itself out just a little teeny bit. Karen, you're on WHP 580.
Hi.
Hello, Karen.
Oh, thank you. A general, generic quick question.
Yeah.
If you're laid off from a job, okay, is it illegal for you to volunteer to work for that position or what?
So what you're saying is if you're laid off from your job,
yeah,
could you volunteer to work in the same position while still collecting unemployment?
Yeah.
I think we would all have a concern. I suspect it's illegal without knowing the exact answer, but here's my concern. My concern would be nobody really does anything for free, right?
Well, it's kind of a complicated situation.
But why would you continue to work for free? And the answer is you're trying to help the employer out, maybe,
right,
keep them on their feet.
Yes, yes.
And that may be possible. But the concern would be basically you're getting government money, you're continuing to work, and that person's not paying you, and they're accruing a benefit from it. And theoretically, we figure you're going to accrue a benefit from it someday, right? Maybe it's just a loyalty benefit. So my short answer would be I suspect there's a problem with it, but I'm not sure.
Well, that's kind of what I thought too, but I wanted your opinion on it.
Yeah, it seems like it's rife for abuse.
Yeah, that's basically what it's turning out to be.
Yeah.
I can't get into any more details than that.
Well, right. Here, let me go. Here I come into the staff meeting. All right, I'm going to lay you idiots off. And then you guys are going to volunteer to work for me. And since Obama's going to give us 100 weeks of unemployment, when it's all over, I'll give you all a raise.
Well, not exactly that way.
Right, but, I'm just saying this is going to be rife with abuse.
Yeah.
All right, take care.
All right, thank you.
I'm just thinking this through because I kind of like the idea. I'm going to lay off. Art, I'm laying you off. Now, I expect you to be here tomorrow, see? And but don't worry, I'll just pay you a little extra money under the table so you'll be like getting your whole wage anyhow. Oh, that's a great idea, boss. I don't know. That's what I think the problem would be. What else do I want to remind you guys about? CDL Labor Logistics seeking experienced, qualified commercial drivers with clean records, 866-293-1880, 866-293-1880. I would definitely tell you guys that if you have a CDL license, you need to talk to these guys. Even if you like what you're doing now, you might want to compare notes with them. Dave, you're on WHP 580.
Hello?
Yes, Dave.
Like what you're doing now. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, this is Dave. This
Yep.
is Dave. Hey, just a comment on that last caller. I had some experience with that. The employer must report the free labor as income in their business. There's nothing wrong with the man doing work for free.
Gotcha.
And the employer must report that as taxable income and pay tax on that. So the offset there, theoretically, is employer pays in tax to the government, employee gets tax money from the government, unrelated, but that's kind of balances the system out. But that's what I've run across that a few times, and that's the way you're supposed to handle it, as per the IRS, and that's from a while ago, but I think that still holds.
All right, my friend. Thank you.
Okay, right. Bye-bye.
That's the wisdom of the crowds. Matt, you're on WHP 580. What's going on?
Hey, you say Matt?
Yep.
Oh, hey, how's it going there, Mr. Rominger?
Very good.
Well, so far as all this government shutdown goes, as far as I'm concerned, President Obama, he's the one who shut the government down because he's the one who's been talking about not wanting to negotiate from the get-go. But, I do kind of agree with some of these other conservatives who are saying they probably should have tied it in with the debt limit on the 17th of this month, I believe. I think that would have been smarter. But I don't know. It just seems like a big kabuki theater dance anyway, because it's just it's the same thing over and over and over again. I mean,
I was envisioning in my head, okay, driving down the road the other day, I can see like John Boehner and Obama sitting there, Harry Reid, sitting back, talking and like, well, okay, you guys are going to shut it down. I'm not going to do anything, and I'll refuse. But let's see. And then they move on to another topic, but it's all like a big.
As they listen to Barry Manilow.
Right. It's just a big like, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is what you're going to do. We'll see who cracks first.
Yeah.
But not like a not.
It's almost like a strategic meeting.
Right. And okay, well, all right, but I'll tell you what we can do. We'll pass something in a day or two to make sure everybody who's furloughed knows they're getting paid. That way you don't have to worry about people going crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do that.
Well, it's like a bad mini series that's run live, and the script's being written as the show is going, and the writers are illiterate, and they're all going off script, and it's just crashing.
Well, wait, here's another one for you. You say to the sales guy, I don't want to pay $6,000 for that car. I'll give you $5,500.
Yeah.
I can't do it. Well, no, it's $5,500. All right. Well, hold on a minute. Then he comes back with the salesman. Hey, I'm the sales manager, and I told Bob we don't usually do this, but just for you, we'll do $5,600. Like, okay, the sales manager's here. Is this part of the script?
Oh yeah, because he's the guy they got to bring in, the authority.
The authority, right? The authority. And now, so that's really though, and that's actually, I hate to say this, but a lot of what people get riled up about, and a lot of what government does, and a lot of what the politicians do, I firmly believe is done as much for show and theater as anything else, and everybody plays along. But the public, boy, they take it so seriously.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, it's like I said, it's like a bad day show that like housewives watch while they vacuum, like Days of Our Lives or something, but worse. and it's just what a disgusting display, because I was born in the 70s and I served in the Navy, and I grew up being proud that the president was Reagan, and then I remember being devastated when I was in high school when Clinton got elected. And it's just now it just seems like Obama. It just what a disaster. We need more. We need some sort of a dynamic figure to get these bums out of here once and for all. And I have no idea who that is, because if this person exists, they're hiding somewhere.
Right.
And I'd like to know who they are at least ahead of time, instead of coming out in the last 3 months and then you find out that there's not just one skeleton but a whole platoon of skeletons in their closet.
I firmly believe right before I go to break here that if we got to open primaries, we'd get better candidates from both parties.
Yeah, if you are registered independent, you could vote in the primary and vice versa.
If we had true open primaries, we would get better candidates.
Well, that's why I'm registered as a Republican, so I can vote in the primary.
Right, but wouldn't it be nice if you could, in a certain election, pick and go, you know what, there's a Democrat that I kind of like.
Yeah,
but
well, like say if Joe Manchin was from around here.
Right. Right.
I'd vote for Joe Manchin. I mean, he threw up the Affordable Care Act and shot it with a shotgun in an advertisement for his election. You remember that?
I remember.
And I mean, I'd vote for him.
All right, my friend, got to go to break.
All right, you take care.
Thank you.
I'm going to talk to Dada.
Hi, Anson.
Hey, Dottie, how are you?
I'm fine. I wanted to know if Anson took any trains to the radio station.
Did you take any trains?
No.
What'd you bring?
No. What are you playing with?
I'm playing with RJ's bell.
Okay, well, you sound wonderful on the radio all the way out here in Hawaii.
Thank you, Dottie.
Okay.
And I make a big mess.
I made a big mess. It's true.
Okay, have fun. Bye.
There you go, Anson. Oh, not that. Jay, you're on WHP 580. What's going on, my friend?
Yeah, Carl. I'd rather ask a legal question, but a few minutes ago, we were talking about federal employees. Well, I'm a retired federal employee. I worked pretty hard in the IT business for over 30 years. And I got paid well, and I got good benefits. I also got called in many nights in the middle of the night and all that good stuff. I don't have a yacht. I don't have all this other kind of stuff. I know you were being a little tongue-in-cheek. But, 30 or 40 years ago when my uncle was working, he was a veteran, and he was working for the government, he wasn't looked down upon. And that's the way I feel right now, because I worked for the government, I was looked down upon. And I assure you I didn't make any big decisions as to who got money and things like that. So most of these people are people's neighbors and everything else. I'm not saying they should get paid for furloughs or any of that stuff. I'm just saying all of a sudden we're kind of demonic. And that's what I see in America. No, I mean, look.
I like that kind of demonic. I like that reference.
I like, Reagan. They were talking about how Reagan and O'Neill worked together some years ago. Well, the problem is nobody likes anybody anymore. And social media and everything else, we're all shut up and all that kind of stuff. And these guys, they're always looking to the right or to the left, to the primary. They're afraid of getting outflanked to the right or the left. I don't think anybody talks about common sense anymore or common good or any of that stuff. I don't really mean to lecture, but that's what you got in America because the PACs, the super PACs, and all this, and the gerrymandering that goes on.
Well, the gerrymandering has created electorally safe districts, which does allow for a lot of crazy rhetoric to move forward.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's a radio show and everything, but I just.
Oh, when I said yachts, I was actually meaning the opposite, meaning you're not putting it into yachts. It goes towards a normal economy. In other words, those 800,000 people's money floats through the economy.
I know what you mean, but you got a lot of people listening who they want to think the worst of whoever's on the other side.
Listen, they did the 10 highest paid people in Lancaster County or something. Work for the government. It's the district attorney who outstrips everybody by like $60,000. He makes 170, and everybody else is like at 110, 109, 102, or something like that.
Or the college football coach.
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to get that off my chest.
All right, my friend.
Take it easy.
Roosevelt, you're on the air.
How you doing, Carl?
Good. How are you?
Not too bad, man. Look, this shutdown thing. First of all, kick Ken out of the studio, okay? All right. Next of all, Republicans asking to repeal Obamacare is a waste of time. It's like you going into court and your client is guilty of first-degree murder. He's confessed to it, and you still want the judge to get rid of the murder plea. He ain't going to do it. Okay? Right. I mean, why don't you just say, okay, pass the Keystone Pipeline, reduce the corporate tax rate, have a tax-free zone so corporations can bring their money back from Europe, something that you're going to get. Right. But you're not going to get this. So why do it? I mean, it makes me look at them and like, you really don't care. You can't care about the public at all, wishing to get something that you're not going to get. Yeah. Unless you take over the White House or the Senate, which you're not going to do at least this year.
Right, and it's interesting. I don't know what the end game is. I'm not sure. On the other hand, am I happy that Congress isn't actually passing any more laws for the moment? Sure.
Nobody's asking them to pass their law. Just pay what you already kicked out. Right.
No, I understand. Trust me. And ultimately, they can't really shut the government down. And ultimately, the debt limit's going to have to be raised. And ultimately, the country's going to go bankrupt if we don't straighten out the bigger problem. So I don't know what the answer is.
Now, about kicking Ken out the studio, what are you going to do about that?
What am I going to do about that? Oh, he's a swell guy. Come on.
Oh, yeah, well, okay. Well, sort of. Okay. We'll take the chair.
Well, wait till he gets back to the studio and sees what the studio looks like. My son has rearranged the entire studio.
Yeah, chair. Take the chair. Let him do this.
Anson, did you make a mess of the studio? Yeah.
Uh-oh.
He's shaking his head. Yes.
Oh, was he? You got an honest kid, at least. You know?
Oh yeah, he knows. So he enjoys being bad. I think. Gets that from his mother, I'm sure.
Well, take him to court with you. Okay, Carl.
Thank you, Roosevelt.
Have a good weekend.
Okay, Lauren, you're on the air.
Hi, Carl. I was calling about my mother. It was the power of attorney for my grandmother.
Uh-huh.
And she is now being sued by the nursing home for my grandmother's outstanding debt there.
Because she probably didn't read over the paperwork she signed real carefully and made herself personally responsible for the bills, right?
That's what I was wondering. Yep, she signed everything when she went in there to have my grandmother admitted.
What I do, if you read carefully, you got to watch, they'll say responsible person.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times it'll ask that there'll be a clause in it that says responsible person is also agreeing to make themselves individually liable for the debts.
So she is individually liable.
I didn't say she was. I said you got to read the contract.
Yeah, she said she did remember signing something that said that,
Yep.
but she felt that was just meant that she would, sign her checks in for this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, it might be worth defending. They got to take a look at it. I'm always skeptical of those clauses, but they are in there. And, of course, everybody always says it's never explained to them that way.
Right. And we didn't realize you should have a lawyer or consult one when you're signing someone in.
I have a friend who has a business, and he now has me read all his contracts.
Okay.
Do you know why? He goes, I'm sick and tired of you telling me why I shouldn't have signed the contract.
Okay.
He's like, this way, when there's a problem down the road, I can look at you and go, then why did you let me sign it?
Right. Now it's your fault.
And I say, I kind of like the part better where I just don't read them. You get into bad deals and then pay me by the hour to fix them.
Well, that works out better for you.
Right.
So is it worth trying to defend, do you think?
It may be. Well, let me explain. Is it worth trying to defend is a whole other question, but here's the answer. Anytime somebody says you owe me some money and you say, I don't think I owe you that money, it leads to a possible compromise.
Right.
So is it better to pay 90% of something than 100% of something? Is it better to pay 50% of something than 100% of something? Some people would say, well, if I owe a debt, I'm going to pay it, like the guy earlier who wants to be ticketed by the police, okay?
Right.
But other people would say, well, if they shamboozled my mother into becoming personally responsible, the least thing I can do is shamboozle them back out of 20%.
Right. At least get out of some of it.
Argle-bargle. That's my new legal term. Argle-bargle. It is a legitimate word.
All right.
All right?
Yep. Thank you.
That's how they do. They kill you with argle-bargle. All right. I got to go, Carl Rominger. Anson, you want to say goodbye? You want to say goodbye? Your toes all over. Say, come over here, buddy. You got to talk into the microphone. No? You don't want to say goodbye? All right. Never mind.
Goodbye.
All right. Good job. All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Sans the boy. God bless.